Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this meeting of the Berkeley County Board of Education. It's Tuesday, October 11th, 2022. I call the meeting to order. I declare a quorum of members are present and the meeting has been notified. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Ramsey, a second from Ms. Tanner to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. The motion is approved by a vote of 6-0. Ms. Tanner made the second. Mr. Ramsey made the motion. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the board meeting of September 27, 2022?
Make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Ramsey, a second from Ms. Wofford to approve the minutes of the meeting of September 27. Is there any discussion? All in favor of this motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. The motion carries by a vote of 6-0. We need a motion to enter into executive session.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Tanner, a second from Ms. Littleton to enter into executive session. The stated purposes of executive session are as follows. 2B, a discussion of the evaluation, employment, appointment, assignment, demotion, discipline, or release of an employee or employees as needed. 2C, a legal update regarding a pending, threatened, or potential claim or other matters covered by the attorney-client privilege. And 2D, 2 student attendance appeals, 1 expulsion appeal, and 1 out-of-district appeal. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of entering into executive session, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. We are in executive session. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good
We need
evening.
a motion to return to regular session.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Tanner, a second from Ms. Littleton, I believe, to return.
Wofford.
I think Miss Littleton just didn't have the mic on.
I think you said that, didn't you?
I did.
She did. I was
mic
third
on?
to the party.
Okay. Irrespective of who did it, we have a motion and a second. So all in favor of returning to regular session, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries 8-0. We are in regular session. And for the record, no action was taken in executive session. The next item on the agenda, ladies and gentlemen, is item number 3, Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence. Please stand, remain standing for the pledge and a moment of silence. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. This time I'll defer to Ms. Kirsten Tanner to introduce our special guest.
At this time, I would like to welcome to you the Cobra Chorale under direction of Mr. William Bennett from Cane Bay High School as they perform Alleluia by Perigo Lacey. I heard them on the front lawn all the way from the back of the building. Y'all had to go find them. It was beautiful. You're in for a treat.
Let's give them a good welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Principal, Miss Tiffany Brown, I see you back there. Thank you. And this group of talented, amazing, beautiful. Next, I would also like to recognize Daniel Island School and Berkeley High School for submitting the beautiful student artwork that has been displayed in the front entryway for everyone's enjoyment. Thank you, Daniel Island School Principal, Miss Nancy Lee, elementary art teacher, Mrs. Jody Traeger, and middle school art teacher, Terry Lawson. Also, thank you to Berkeley High School Principal, Katie Butcher, and art teachers, Mr. William Cotton and Miss Abigail Flora. We appreciate all the contributions.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is citizens' comments. I will read the procedures. In order to conduct the meeting in an orderly and efficient manner, we ask that you honor the following guidelines. Stakeholder comments are welcomed and encouraged. However, the board will not take immediate action on public comments at this meeting. Any person wishing to address the board must register prior to the meeting. Comments must be regarding programs, policies, or procedures. Comments regarding complaints against employees other than district-level executives or references to students other than the child of the speaker will not be heard in public session. Groups addressing the same topic should select one speaker. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The board chair reserves the right to allot additional time or halt public comments that do not adhere to the guidelines. Our first speaker is Ms. Christy Dixon on restorative practices. Welcome, Ms. Dixon.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I wanted to share with you this evening a text that a parent in my neighborhood got from her daughter about 3.5 weeks ago while they were locked down at Philip Simmons High School due to an incident where 2 students had brought guns. The young lady texted her mother and said, "We don't know what's happening, but I hear someone and I'm scared and I don't call the school. I just want you to know I love you. I love you so much. I love you so much. There's a full lockdown. I'm scared, Mom. I'm scared, Mom. I'm really scared. I love you so much. Mom, I'm really scared. I'm really scared. I love you so much. I can't tell what's happening. There's no noise." The mom said, "I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I love you so much. Do what you can to hide if you have to. Are the other kids okay? Okay, please tell everyone I love them. I'm really scared, but I love you. And I know I heard yelling and a lot of moving." Mom says, "Can you call me?" Student says, "People are saying a kid tried bringing a gun to the pep rally. No, I have to be quiet." Mom says, "Okay, just keep texting me." Student says, "I can't stop shaking. I'm really scared." And Mom says, "Try to stay calm." Student says, "I haven't heard anything in a while, but about 15 minutes ago, I heard yelling and a fight. It was the cop's voice, Mom." And the mom says, "I'm here." Daughter says, "Keep texting me. It's the only thing distracting me. It's been quiet for a while." Mom says, "I'm here. Just talk to me. I'm getting ready to pull over so Grandma can drive, and I can text you. I love you." Student says, "Keep texting me. It's the only thing distracting me." Mom says, "I'm here. Just talk to me." She says, "Okay, we all thought it was fake." Mom says, "I'm not sure if it's a rumor. I'm trying to find out from another mom." The daughter said, "There was a fight that sounded so close." What I'm wanting to tell you, you're all parents. This woman was 3 hours away, and she was getting a text from her daughter. Philip Simmons High School instituted restorative practices in December of 2018. You're trying to codify this into our discipline policy through the Student Conduct Code as an option. This should not be an option. This could have been our very own Marjorie Stoneman Douglas moment. We could be standing here in a different world right now if one student had not spoken up that they saw this. The principal of Philip Simmons just did an editorial. Everything's great at Philip Simmons. It wasn't what people thought it was, but parents tell me that kids are afraid to go to the bathroom because of the vaping and the drug use at Philip Simmons. Is this a result of your restorative practices? We know that this is a failed model of discipline. You have to realize that your decisions have real life and eternal consequences. This was a mother and a child. When I read this the first time, I cried. I hope it touches your heart and you take stock of your decisions.
Miss Dixon, I'm sorry, Mr.
Go right ahead.
I think you may have misspoken. I think you said December of 2018.
I'm sorry, 2021.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 2018 was when the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooting took place.
Yes, ma'am.
As a result of the implementation of restorative practices. And, I know that you tell me that you don't think I understand the implementation. This speaks volumes.
Our next speaker is Ms. Christine Schaefer on Berkeley County Business Partners and Community Involvement. Welcome, Ms. Schaefer.
Hello.
Hello there.
Carol was assistant principal back in 1983, 84, 85, where I graduated. I couldn't believe he was here as a chairman.
Where did you graduate? Oh, you have a sweatshirt that says Stratford, right? First graduating class, 85, right?
That's right, my name's on the wall.
Well, that was on the good side of the wall, right? Welcome, Ms. Schaefer.
Yeah, go laugh over there, 1990-something.
98. Go Knights.
So, y'all, I grew up in Sangaree. When 1974, we had to walk up to 17A to get the bus to College Park Elementary, and then College Park Middle was made, and then it went all the way to Berkeley, and then Stratford was made. Y'all have grown so much, and it's a lot to keep up with. But trust me, there's a lot of businesses that could be business partners with the district or the different schools. There should never be a lack of funding. I'm a queen of it, y'all. So they're having the homecoming this Friday at Stratford, and I'm going to network and get some more business partners for Stratford. But in the future, if y'all want some help with Berkeley County, every car dealership, insurance, they should be Bosch, Mercedes-Benz. They all should be business partners with Berkeley County School District. There's no reason for them not to. Just thought I'd let y'all know. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Our final speaker is Ms. Ariel Pike on a zoning concern. Welcome, Ms. Pike.
I apologize. I am coming from a baseball game. So have my baby because my husband is coaching. We are located in Strawberry Station neighborhood out in Monk's Corner. We're zoned for Foxbank Elementary School and Sedgefield Middle School, which are two different extremes. Foxbank is amazing. Sedgefield has been the complete opposite for us. It's been really hard. We are a really nice neighborhood, decent parents trying to raise decent human beings, and all of the parents in the neighborhood are all great, just trying to get our children educated. And all of the neighborhoods that go to Sedgefield are just really rough. And it's impossible for our kids to learn there. They are only focused on discipline. My son can't learn. every day he gets asked to fight in the bathroom or gets called a baby and much worse names than a baby, but I will spare you. And we pay a lot of money to have a house in our neighborhood, and so it's unfortunate, and I don't know how to change the zoning, but would welcome any ideas, because we live, like I said, we live in Monk's Corner, and Sedgefield is way out on Red Bank Road in Goose Creek, and there's plenty of parents in our neighborhood that agree with this and want to do whatever we can. We just don't know where to start. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is any action is required from executive session. We do have a couple of student attendance appeals, an out-of-district appeal, and an expulsion appeal. We'll hear those first.
Mr. Chairperson, I move to deny the appeal of student number 1.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. McQuillan and a second from Ms. Littleton to deny the attendance appeal of student number 1. Is there any discussion? All in favor of this motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries to deny the appeal of 8-0.
Mr. Chairman, in the matter of student number 2, I move that we grant the appeal.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Wofford, a second from Ms. Marone.
Littleton.
Ms. Littleton, I thought I heard somebody.
Was me,
That
but
was
it's
you?
good.
Okay.
I defer to Littleton, yeah.
My hearing is going bad. Ms. Littleton, we'll give the second to Ms. Littleton to approve the appeal of student number 2. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of granting the appeal, attendance appeal of student number 2, please respond by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously by a vote of 8-0.
Mr. Chairman, on the out-of-district appeal, I make a motion to deny the appeal for student number 1.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Tanner, a second from Ms. Marone to deny the out-of-district appeal for student number 1. Is there any discussion? All in favor of denying the appeal, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously to deny the out-of-district appeal. We'll hear the expulsion appeal.
Mr. Chairperson, in the matter of student number 1 expulsion appeal, I move to grant the appeal and allow the child to attend the alternative school.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. McQuillan, second from Ms. Littleton to accept the appeal of the expulsion appeal of the student number 1 and refer the student to the Berkeley Alternative School for the remainder of the year under strict probation. Is there any discussion? All in favor of this appeal or this motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously by a vote of 8-0.
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the personnel recommendations of the administration as discussed in executive session for the current school year.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Tanner, a second from Ms. Wofford to accept the HR recommendations for this school year. Is there any discussion? Excuse me. All in favor of the motion, please respond by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously by a vote of 8-0. The next item on the agenda is a presentation of the attendance lines and student assignments. The second reading will refer to Ms. Diane Driggers. You're recognized. Ms. Driggers.
Good evening, Chairman of the Board, Mr. Chairman Barrow, members of the board, and Mr. Jackson. Tonight I wanted to invite Mike Miller from Numerics to come up and go over and review the attendance lines for the Carolyn Lewis schools.
Welcome back, Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Superintendent Jackson, board members, it's good to be here again to present draft number 2. The student assignment planning for school year 2023-24. There we go. Tonight I'll be presenting the second draft containing 2 scenarios for the Carolyn M. Lewis School, K-8 school, opening the fall of 2023. As in draft number 1, I will go over some general assumptions covering the scenarios. For all scenarios, Carolyn M. Lewis School will serve the Carnes Crossroads development. Each scenario will have some impact outside Carnes Crossroads. All scenarios are minimal impact in the sense that impacted families will be assigned to the new school only. There's no moves from an existing school to another existing school. And third, existing high school boundaries will remain the same. There are no changes to high school boundaries in either scenario. In addition to the 2 scenarios for Carolyn M. Lewis, we will look at 2 boundary adjustments, technical corrections, later on in the presentation. The first scenario is scenario A, draft 2. This scenario is unchanged from draft 1. There are no edits, alterations whatsoever in draft 2. The impacted schools are Cane Bay Elementary School, Cane Bay Middle, Devon Forest Elementary, Sangaree Elementary, Sangaree Intermediate, Sangaree Middle School, and College Park Middle School. This is the scenario with the least impact of the 2 scenarios. The projection data, just so we are on the same page again, you've seen these tables before, but moving from left to right, the school name, the grades it serves, the calculated capacity of that building, and the day 135 enrollment of the previous year, 2021-22. That's a basis for our forecast. We started this process months and months ago, so we're using that as our starting point. The next 3 columns highlighted in blue are the estimated utilization, how full the building is, number of students divided by the capacity of that school, under the assumed scenario. This is scenario A. So as an example, if you look at Cane Bay Elementary on the top row, in 2021, the utilization is 131%. That's an actual real number, actual number with students and the capacity. You'll notice in 2023, the estimated capacity is 129%. That's because Cane Bay is growing at about 10 points per year. This does represent a drop in their utilization over what it would be if there was no school opening. If you look down at the end of the first block there, Carolyn Lewis serves grades K through 8. Calculated capacity is 1,221. And the estimated utilization upon opening is 54% under scenario A.
To be fair, can I chime in for a minute? To be fair, for the public to understand, and when they see these numbers, you know, those can be sticker shocks, right? But let's be honest, we are talking about capital project plans. We are talking about the need for more schools. So I just want to say that out loud so that as you, the citizens, are looking at these numbers, you keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
The second scenario for Carolyn Lewis School is a combination of scenarios B and scenario C presented in draft 1 about a month ago. The arrows that you can see in the map are pointing to adjustments beyond the scenario A. So up in the north there, next to the Cane Bay campus, and to the south there impacting Nexton Elementary. So in addition to the schools that were impacted by scenario A, scenario B/C also includes impact to Nexton Elementary School. The data table, kind of similar from before in some schools were not impacted between scenario A and scenario B, but the big change here is Nexton Elementary has a significant impact in 2023. In 2021, day 135, they showed an utilization of 98%. That's a pre-K-5 school, and we're dropping that utilization to 85% estimated in 2023. I will ask you to keep looking down that line. Nexton is a growing community, and we do expect the growth to continue after the school is open. The biggest change between the first scenario A and the scenario B/C that we're seeing here is Carolyn Lewis, which opens with a utilization of 78% as opposed to 54% from scenario A. So it's opening with more students, providing more relief to Cane Bay and Nexton. Are there any questions? Those are the two scenarios.
Can we go back to the first scenario real quick?
The map or the data table?
I mentioned this at the last meeting, and that's the fact that we just spent a lot of money expanding Sangaree Middle School. And in the BC model, we wind up utilizing it at 60%. 50% actually next year, but then up to 60%. And that concerns me a lot, that we may have wasted a lot of money. And this isn't a whole lot better, to be honest. This is still just 72 in 10 years. So I'm struggling with both of those scenarios.
So if you look at the difference between the first scenario and the second scenario, as far as, you can leave those numbers up right there, that's the first scenario, right? So draft 2 BC for the top for Cane Bay, it has 129, 137, 157, but BC is 129%, 135%, and then 156%. So Cane Bay is really, either scenario, Cane Bay is really not seeing that much of a difference. I think it's the Nexton area in the BC that would see more of those Nexton students go to the Carolyn Lewis School to give the Carolyn Lewis School a stronger population when opening, giving Nexton area more to grow, correct? But then my concern is what happens when the Carnes area grows. So is it, it's like what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Like, because either way, we're going to be in that Cane Bay scenario if we don't build more schools. Does that make sense? So I just want to make sure, because if I don't do this position, but if we move those students from the Nexton in the BC zone, that little section that was added, to the Carolyn Lewis School, right? And then if another school was to be built, hypothetical, right? Do those students have to go back? Because I don't want students to have to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Because we're going from an elementary and middle school in the Nexton area to a K-8 school in Carolyn Lewis. Am I making sense? So then we would have to take the kids out of 5th grade of Carolyn Lewis to bring them back into a middle school if new schools would be open. So I understand draft 2BC is giving more utilization up front, but are we going to put ourselves in the same position 2, 3, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I just have to say what I have to say.
Superintendent Jackson, I was at a meeting and I was speaking with Mary Thornley, the president of Trident Tech, and they recently received some money from the state where they're going to be renovating the Berkeley Trident Tech campus. And I know it's going to be a little while where the Berkeley Middle College won't be able to attend there. Have we started looking as an administration where we might want to put those students? And the reason I bring this question up I see where we got some room here at the Karen Lewis School, so I don't know if we know where we're going to temporarily put those kids, if we don't have an idea yet, if we need to consider Carolyn Lewis, or what's kind of your thoughts on that? Because it got me thinking, well, we need to be planning ahead, and we hadn't talked about it as a board yet, so I was just saw Karen Lewis.
So I've had an opportunity to meet with Dr. Thornley and her staff as well to have some of those preliminary discussions, and she briefed me on the fact that it would be taking place in a couple of years. And so we started planning tentatively relocation of Berkeley Middle College. However, Carolyn Lewis was not on the radar as a possibility. That's something that we can explore if that's the desire of the board. But that wasn't one of the options at this particular point due to the grade level of the students, and also the fact that the Berkeley Middle College students are enrolled in dual
find a
credit
high
courses.
school, most likely.
That would be an option, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So the intention is we have to build more schools. We're going to have to build schools, and doing attendance lines is very hard. One of the hardest things right under expulsions, because you're drastically affecting someone's child's life of where they're going to go to school and what programs they're going to be in and all that stuff. But I feel like another school in the next in Cane Bay area has to be, what we do next. And I do know when we voted as a board to put the penny on the ballot in November, that is one of the schools that is on the list. So I do feel like there is going to be some movement in those areas, unfortunately, but I don't think that people will feel that it's unfortunate that they're moving to a new school when the new school gets built. So I can see the positive of starting with a lower population and growing into it, but then I also know that next year when we start school, Nexton has to face the kids they're looking at that day, and Carolyn Lewis has to face the kids that they're looking at that day. And so as much as I want to be proactive and have a long-term vision, the short term is better for Nexton if we can relieve some of their population. I wish it could be even more improved for Cane Bay and Nexton. But I think we're in the short-term game now, unfortunately, to give some relief.
Yes, so can we see BC again? Because Nexton's not even on A, so I'd really like to see those numbers again. Yeah, that's a... Yeah.
Mr. Miller, do you have any idea how many students would be impacted from Nexton in that area to Carolyn Lewis?
Approximately 170.
170?
Yes, sir.
So that would relieve the 170 students that would be at Nexton if we approve BC. They would be going to Carolyn Lewis.
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Walker's exactly correct. We have to build new schools. The board unanimously voted to put the penny on the ballot, and all we can do is present facts. But the fact is that the growth is exponential, and we've got to give our citizens an option in order for them to decide what's best to fund these schools. And if the penny passes, then obviously it's on the ballot that there'll be 2 K-8s and a K-5, and then some major additions to some of the high schools, as well as Hanahan Middle School. So I'm not pushing that, I'm just stating the facts. That's the facts that's on the ballot. And I agree with you, Sally. I think, Ms. Wofford, I think it's important to relieve the overcrowding as much as possible. And if there's situations that we encounter later, then we'll have to just address it then. But 170 kids relieving Nexton Elementary is, I think, the smart move.
Yep, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for us to adopt scenario BC for the attendance lines for the Carolyn Lewis School.
We have a motion to adopt scenario BC, draft 2. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Mr. McQuillan. Now we'll have any further discussion. Any further discussion?
I just want to let everyone know that, yes, this is like the hardest decision ever.
It
And
is.
knowing that I live in a community where there are parents and students that have to travel 20 minutes away to another school, I could sit here and say, I get it, I understand it, but we have to do what's right for our kids to have no schools that are overpopulated, which we already know that they are, but we have to, I think this is I'm very proud of us right now of our healthy conversation that we had. So I'm just putting it out there that I understand where we're coming from, and it really, really is unfortunate, but we can only work together to get it better.
I also would like to add, for the record, of some of the concerns that I've received, that safety is Berkeley County School District's #1 priority. So know that the questions that you have that come along with our K through 8, they're going to get addressed, okay? So, but we have to decide on attendance lines. So your questions, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to tell you that I know you have questions, parents, and the answers are going to come, and you're going to feel good about it. But tonight, we had to move forward with attendance lines. So it all comes hand in hand. Just know that that's coming.
Any additional discussion before we call the question? All in favor of the motion to adopt scenario BC draft 2 of the attendance lines for the Carolyn Lewis School, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Thank you, Mr. Miller. We have some additional discussion.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, there's 2 additional, I would call them technical corrections. These areas are building out very quickly, and sometimes when you draw an attendance boundary within a few years, the new parcels get developed, get subdivided, get redrawn in some cases. So there are 2 boundary adjustments that I'd like to show you. These are unchanged from draft 1. The first one involves Nexton Elementary and Sangaree Middle School to Cane Bay Elementary and Cane Bay Middle School. The arrows point out the areas that are proposed to be moved.
And we said last time we discussed this, there are no current students impacted.
In this particular scenario, yes, there are students on that brand-new kind of stub coming up. My understanding is that I think they're already going to Cane Bay. I don't have all the data on that, but that's my understanding.
Stub going up. Can you show me? Can you come point? Or something? There you go. Okay.
So
Okay.
in that area, I'll be completely transparent. In that area, there was a miscommunication, and there was 2 different maps showing that because when that area was set for the attendance zone, there was no houses. It was part of the underdeveloped. So then when the houses went up, the line literally went through the complex. So it separated, I believe they're townhomes. So it literally went through your living room. So depending on the map, you could either went to either school. So going forward, I think we need to have clear communication on just which school they're going to. And the only way we could do this is we could fix it. So we could either have it where the kids that were at Cane Bay, they had to go to Sangaree. If I'm corrected, right? They went to Sangaree? Sangaree Nexton. And if we adjust it, they will go back to Cane Bay, which they originally were. It's just because of the way the homes were built on the land that was owned before streets were made, if I'm saying that correctly.
Correct.
How many?
I want to say around a dozen. Yes.
The rest of them went through next to the center. It's minimal of the appeals that are.
Excuse me, Ms. McDowell, could you, for the audience could you explain that again?
You have 3 streets, Godwit being the main street, goes through there. They're townhouses. 2 parents appealed at the beginning of the school year to go stay at Cane Bay schools. It was granted. The rest of them did not appeal. They went to Nexton and Sangaree. So they knew at the beginning of the school year they were zoned Nexton, Sangaree. But I did receive 2 appeals that I did approve.
So this change takes effect next year?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we need to vote to allow this change to occur? Is that where we're at now?
Yes, there is one additional one that does not involve students.
Okay.
It's another situation where we're trying to stay ahead as best we can of the development as it occurs.
Okay. But these don't have homes on them. I remember this one. There's no homes on these.
It's just a weird pocket that was several assignment plans passed. Is a fix that we're going to make.
Are we anticipating developments here, or are we?
No.
Okay. And so our purpose is?
This is only a middle school line, so it'll align middle school lines with elementary school lines.
Okay.
Cane Bay to Sangaree. So Sangaree is the dark green, and this correction would move those 2 pieces to Sangaree, just aligning lines.
Well, I see a bigger, besides the 2 corrections, there's actually a correction on the top. So on the top left, there's a dark green and then it disappears. So what?
That's the same one as the previous slide.
Oh, that's the same one? Okay.
Yeah, I'm
It's-
sorry.
The map was
Yeah.
bigger. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that everyone
Thank
understood
you.
that there is a change, what that change is for. Thank you.
So if we adopt this draft, that covers what you just showed us, plus this.
They could be separated if it's at the board's discretion to do either one of these or none.
I move to approve both boundary adjustment drafts 2.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. McQuillan, second from Ms. Tanner to approve both boundary adjustments. Is there any discussion, any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously by a vote of 8-0.
We're done.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Item number 7 is committee assignments. We do not need to have any additional committee assignments because all of the committees have a quorum of members present. The next item on the agenda is item number 8, the superintendent's report. Mr. Jackson.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, board members, members of the audience. I'd like to first start off by recognizing our family members from Teacher Forum here to join us this evening. Miss Erin Bowie from Sedgefield Middle, and also Miss Stephanie Williams from Cane Bay Elementary. Relish the clapping, I'm serious. It doesn't come often, so relish it. This week marks the final week of this first quarter. So we've been in school for 9 weeks now. Students will be completing their final assignments and teachers will be inputting grades, and report cards will go out on October 27th. So parents, listen, October 27th, please expect your child to bring home their report card or the report card to go home. So don't accept any excuses. The 27th it is. As a reminder, this Friday, October 14th, is a teacher work day. For reminder, teacher work days, staff development days equal no days, no school for students. And so students will be out of school on Friday. We are continuing to recognize Hispanic Heritage Month, National Hispanic Heritage Month, through October 15th. This month was created in honor to recognize the contributions and influence of Hispanic and Latino Americans. The observation began in 1968 under President Lyndon Johnson as a week-long celebration of histories and cultures. It was expanded in 1988 by President Ronald Reagan to cover a 30-day period. During this time, our schools have hosted a number of engaging events throughout the course of this month, and if you have not been able to attend, please check out our website and our social media pages to read about these events. Last week, I had an opportunity to visit Goose Creek High School to attend their event, and so kudos to their staff, community members, community partners, but their students did a tremendous job of organizing this event for the fellow students and the community. This week, we will have the final active shooter presentation that will be conducted by the Berkeley County Sheriff's Office at Philip Simmons High School. The presentation will begin at 6 p.m. in the auditorium. If you have not been able to attend any of the previous 3 meetings, I hope you'll be able to join us for the final meeting in this series. These presentations are focused on active shooter preparations. However, we've received a number of great questions by our parents and community members regarding safety concerns. And so we're also thankful for the relationships that we've been able to establish with our students, but also our students' commitment to going to school in a safe environment. They're very committed to safety. It's actually been some of the information from our students that's helped us to address a number and resolve a number of issues regarding safety concerns, to include weapons. While we consider all options for increasing our physical security of our campuses, we have solidified our procedures for implementing the Berkeley County School District Random School and Classroom Search Program. The random school searches are unannounced, suspicionless searches conducted to serve as a deterrent in the interest of maintaining a safe and weapons-free school. Information about this program and frequently asked questions can be found on our webpage under the Safety and Emergency Management Department on our website. Please review this information with your child, especially if you have a child in the middle or high school. In addition, we've also continued our Berkeley County School District K-9 Free Air Sniff program or initiative. Both Goose Creek High and Philip Simmons High have hosted our K-9 teams from the Sheriff's Office this year. And we're doing this to promote a safe, drug-free learning environment and to deter individuals from possessing or distributing contraband on our school's campuses. Berkeley County School District's Security and Emergency Management team will continue to work with school administrators and law enforcement K-9 units to conduct these free air sniffs in school parking lots, common areas, and also in classrooms. Information about our free air sniffs and frequently asked questions are also available on our website under the Security and Emergency Management Department's webpage. I'd like to end on a high note, if you will, feel kind of somber. Congratulations are in order to Goose Creek High School senior Wanda Hardy. The College Board recently recognized Wanda for her academic achievements with a National African American Recognition Award. This award is a part of the College Board's National Recognition Program intended to honor students from underrepresented populations, to include African American, Hispanic American, Latinx, Indigenous students, or also students attending schools in rural areas or small towns. To earn this recognition, students must maintain a 3.5 GPA or higher, have high scores on the PSAT, and earned a 3 or higher on 2 or more AP exams, which is not easy to do. Wanda is one of 62,000 students from across the country to earn this academic honor from the College Board's National Recognition Program. So congratulations to Wanda. Mr. Chair, that concludes.
On a good note, just a couple of reminders, actually one reminder and then a very important announcement. First of all, we want to remind the public and the board of the next board meeting, October 25th, 2 weeks from tonight, at Cane Hoy Elementary School. We adjusted the calendar, or actually the place of the meeting, to celebrate Mr. Frank Wright's last board meeting. Mr. Wright has been a board member of the Berkeley County School District for 24 consecutive years, and he has been an outstanding board member, and we want to celebrate with him his last board meeting at his home school. So please write that down, try to get out there and celebrate with us his accomplishments, and 24 years is a long time to sit up here. Amen?
Amen.
None of us will make it that long.
No, we won't. One other really, really positive thing, Dr. Tiffany Richardson has been selected for the South Carolina Supreme Court has appointed our in-house general counsel to serve on the Board of Paralegal Certification, responsible for the evaluation and approval of paralegal courses at approved institutions of higher education, and responsible for certifying or revoking the certification of paralegals. The nomination was made unanimously by the Board of Governors for the South Carolina Bar. Congratulations, Dr. Richards. Another positive. That concludes my part of the program. What we will do now is adjourn this meeting so that we can conduct the committee meeting. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the regular meeting.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Tanner, a second from Ms. Wofford to adjourn the regular meeting. Is there any discussion? All in favor of adjourning, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned, and at this time, Ms. Littleton, your committee.
I'm calling the Committee on Academics and Innovation to order. I declare that there's a quorum of committee members present, and note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. We have a motion to approve the agenda.
Make the motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Ramsey and a second by Dr. Wigfall. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. It's been approved 3-0. The first item on the agenda is a Head Start Budget Expenditure Report, August 2022, and Head Start Credit Report, Credit Card Report, August 2022. What is the pleasure of the committee?
Madam Chair, I make the motion to approve the Head Start Budget Expenditure Report for August 2022 and the Head Start Credit Card Report for August 2022.
Second.
We have a motion by Dr. Wigfall and a second by Mr. Ramsey. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. It passes 3-0. Second agenda item is 2022-2023 Instructional Calendar Update. What is the pleasure of the committee?
Madam Chair, I make the motion to approve the updated 2022-2023 instructional calendar.
Second.
We have a motion by Dr. Wigfall, a second by Mr. Ramsey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved 3-0.
For transparency, can you tell us what the change is to the calendar, please?
It's in our board packet.
Yeah.
And for the public, I mean, I know what it is too, but.
Does it impact any student attendance days?
Does not add any days or take away any days, primarily typographical in nature, just to make sure that what we have on the instructional calendar reflects our practices.
Does not affect our students. That's what the citizens need to do.
It does not impact our students. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'm going to have to dig it out. The third item is the 2022-2023 local board approved and innovative courses. The pleasure committee.
Madam Chair, I make the motion to approve the proposed 2022-2023 local board-approved and innovative courses as provided.
Second. We have a motion by Dr. Wigfall, a second by Littleton. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Ms. Littleton, can I ask a question? I'm sorry. I feel like I'm holding us up. This is everything we have, and are the yellow ones added, I guess? And I'm not sure who.
The yellow highlights are the additions.
Yeah.
Do you mind giving like just a brief?
I was curious about the future ready as well.
Well, I just wanted to talk about unified PE, actually being the board.
That excites me too, but I'm
How about I cover both of those?
That sounds great.
So Unified PE actually has been in the past a locally board-approved course. But just so you know what the Unified PE course is, I actually have it all written down so I don't make a mistake. Unified Physical Education provides a unique opportunity for students with and without disabilities to come together through ongoing educational and physical activities using the power of Special Olympics. The Unified Physical Education course is structured around the National Physical Education Standards and grade level outcomes. Additionally, the class supports the development of leadership skills for all students, as well as the empowerment of all students to foster an inclusive class and school-wide environment. Students in Unified Physical Education courses may have the opportunity to participate in competitions with other schools or attend Special Olympics events.
Nice.
So does that PE credit, is it a PE credit or it's an elective? It's an elective, okay. And we've had it, I know we've had it at the middle schools. Do all of our high schools offer Unified PE, or do the high schools get to select what they offer from these courses?
In terms of Unified, are you asking how many of our schools do it at this time? I believe there are 3 high schools at this time that do Unified. I believe it is Cane Bay, Goose Creek, and possibly Berkeley. I'm not sure about that one.
I know Berkeley has it in the middle school. I wasn't sure about the high school, but I guess mostly if it's on this list, the high school can have an option.
Correct.
Correct, that is correct, yes.
Okay. Sorry, Mr. Barrow's question was about future ready.
Yes.
I'll stop talking.
So, Future Ready, this is in conjunction with Trident Tech. We're working with Trident Tech with this. Future Ready is designed to help students identify, develop, and practice the foundational and career-related knowledge and skills required to be successful for work and life. I have another form here that'll better explain it. During this course, students will also have the opportunity to complete an industry credential that can be used to directly enter the workforce and/or use as a foundation for post-secondary education. Also, you will notice there are 2 different course numbers there. One is a 1 credit and one is a 2 credit. So the 1 credit will include demonstration of workplace competencies along with completion of an industry credential that requires 130 hours or less. And the other 2 credit course will include, that's the 180 hours and completion of a 40-hour work-based learning experience.
So almost like an internship?
Yes.
Program?
Going out and doing work-based learning.
Right.
Okay.
And it is, it's very exciting. I think this is a prime example of what can happen when you have strong partnerships.
Absolutely.
You have strong partnerships and you have the willingness to collaborate. And this is exactly how this came about. Mr. Ramsey mentioned meeting with, Trident Tech, and we have strong partnerships, strong relationships with our folks in the technical school system. And that's how this came about, this idea or this opportunity. It was mentioned, you say, we have this opportunity where students can take, this 1 course, have work-based experience, and when they complete it, they'll have a certificate and they're employable. And it's the best part about it, this year, and I believe next year, it's at no cost to the student. No cost to the student, no need to fill out financial aid. It's at no cost, period. And we're working with them on, cost of textbooks and things of that nature. And so, talking about future-ready students, either career-ready, college-ready, ready for the military, this is definitely helping that. And so when students do walk across the stage, they have a plethora of opportunities ahead of them.
Is this a virtual?
110% excellent in the right direction.
Is this a virtual program, or is it, where do they actually teach it? At the school, or?
At Trident Tech, I'd imagine, because it's hands-on programs, a lot of them.
So it's after-school program?
Half day, right? Half day at the school, half day
Help me out here, because I don't know.
Will you come back to the podium for us? Okay, thank you. I think we're so excited, we have lots of questions.
There are logistics to this.
Of course.
Keep in mind, because these would be seniors, they're only seniors that can do this.
Okay.
We're looking at it for the spring semester for our seniors. And if they are 1 credit or 2 credit courses, that would be for part of a day. So we would be looking at maybe a first block or a last block course. Feasibly, it depends on with Trident. We're still working through the logistics of that with Trident in terms of when we can have those courses for the purpose of scheduling.
And the good deal is Trident is hungry to work with us. Right now, just a quick plug, is you can go to Trident for free tuition. So the more dual credit courses that we can get and the more courses we can get like this is only going to help our kids.
I would actually like to bring Miss Sonia Addison Stewart up. She has been working hand in hand with Trident and with Melissa Stowasser at Trident, and she can speak to this a little bit more in terms of the specifics.
So as she's coming up, I would like to say that going to high school myself in another state, I was actually part of a program like this. So my senior year, I did the courses that I needed to take as a senior, and then at 11:30, because we went to school early in high school, not late. But at 11:30, I would leave, and I actually went to an elementary school, and I student taught for the whole semester, and then that was able to give me credits for early childhood. So it is an amazing program, and I had the privilege to be part of that program. So it's exciting to see come to South Carolina.
I did the same thing at Wando High School here in Charleston and did an externship at the solicitor's office, which is what made me know I wanted to be a lawyer, but not a criminal lawyer. But I knew I wanted to be a lawyer at that point, which is why I focused in college and went to law school, but it was because of an externship program, just like this, and I got to leave school early.
Right,
So
I think it's
was
an
all
amazing
about it.
program.
Okay, just to reiterate what Mr. Jackson said, that this is a really exciting program. We've been speaking with Trident about it. So we are going to survey our seniors because there are several certifications that can be offered to them to see which ones that they have an interest in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this course is not just a credential, but we really want to prepare our students. We want to teach them those skills that they need, that our industry partners are saying that they are desperately seeking. It's not the content knowledge that they don't possess, it's those work skills, those life skills, and those are the things that are important. So that is a big part of the class as well. If we have a cohort of students, if we have enough students, let's say, that are interested in patient care tech, then Trident could actually come out and do that session on site for us. So, the first time we go through this, it may be small, it might be trial and error, but we're expecting to grow it.
Very good.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
That's exceptionally good. I like that innovative
Yeah, that's exciting,
approach.
guys.
That's great.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Ms. Lewis.
Totally hijacked your meeting. Go ahead.
Help yourself.
Is there any other discussion?
I think we're good, Kathy. Thank you very
yeah.
much.
Good. Thank you very much for the short notice. I appreciate it. What is the, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Against, nay. It is approved, 3-0. The fourth item on the agenda is the Administrative Rule JICDA-R, Student Behavior Code reading to, second reading. What's the pleasure of the committee?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the second reading of the Administrative Rule JICDA-R, Student Behavior Code.
Second.
Any discussion? I'm sorry, we have a motion by Dr. Wigfall and a second by Mr. Ramsey. Any discussion?
Quick question, is this with your amendments to the rule?
Right, there's still 2 drafts sitting out there.
Yes.
This is with your amendments?
This is the first draft.
This is the first draft, so when it comes to the full board, we can talk about the other draft?
Yes.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say nay. Nay.
Nay.
The motion is denied by a vote of 2 to 1. 1 to 2, I guess. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the committee meeting so that the Finance and Capital Planning Committee meeting can begin.
I made the motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Ramsey, a second by Dr. Wigfall. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, respond by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion is approved by a vote of 3 to 0.
I'm calling the Committee on Finance and Capital Planning to order. I declare there are a quorum of committee members present.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. You didn't give an opportunity for discussion.
I certainly did.
I did not hear an opportunity for discussion.
Mr. McClellan asked a question.
But I didn't hear the question for discussion, so I'm just confused. If we have a rule, and I apologize, Mr. McClellan, I apologize. I'm trying to understand if we have a rule for something, and I'm looking to you, Dr. Richardson, where do we go from there if we don't have a policy?
It'll come before the board.
It can't. It didn't come out of committee.
They go back to you need to get, yeah, you need to get the.
We've been doing this for 2 months, and y'all had it for 4 weeks, right? So.
Obviously, 2 of us are not satisfied with it.
But did you guys meet? I guess that's my question. Did your committee meet to come to a conclusion?
We're not allowed to meet without being right here in front of everybody.
Right. Did you call a meeting? That's the question. Did you call a meeting to meet about it? That's my question.
The committee's decided.
Okay, but where do we go?
Well, that meeting's been adjourned. Let's move on. Y'all can talk afterwards. I'm calling the Committee on Finance and Capital Planning to order. I declare there is a quorum of committee members present. Has the media been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act? It has. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you, Mr. McQuillan, over chatter in the back of the room. Thank you.
Mr. Barrett, do we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Second, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Motion is approved by a vote of 2 to 0. The first agenda item is out-of-state travel. Ms. Smith, you are recognized.
Good evening, Chairman McClellan, board members, and Superintendent Jackson. Administration is requesting approval of out-of-state travel as presented.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries by a vote of 2 to 0. The second item is the ESSER 2 amendment. Ms. Smith, you are again recognized.
Thank you. Administration is requesting a budget transfer in the ESSER 2 funds to decrease the budget from purchase service account and technology in the amount of $311,185 and transfer $101,097 to cover the cost of Low Country Virtual Academy and $210,088 to cover salaries and benefits for BC VLP virtual teachers.
Move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, let me ask. This is a transfer of funds because an initial allocation was overbid and there was some additional funds left?
No, sir. All of the funds were put into a purchase service account, and they should have been divvied up between salaries and benefits and the cost to cover Low Country Virtual. It's just not listed as part of the plan, and it needed to be amended to ensure that that was also covered. So it's no additional funds. It's just transferring from one function and object to another.
Okay, all right.
But the intention of what we were going to do with the money stays the same. It's an accounting correction.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
I understand that. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it by a vote of 2-0. The third agenda item is a 5-year lease to purchase option for 16 mobile units. Ms. Smith, you are again recognized.
Thank you. I would like to invite Marcy Abrahamson up to join me.
Good evening, Chairman McQuinlan, board members, Mr. Jackson. As you know, we have several mobile units out on the Cane Bay Elementary, Cane Bay Middle property. When we initiated those agreements, the intention was to only have them there for a few years, and we decided to lease rather than purchase those units. As you can tell from the presentation tonight on attendance lines, our growth is exponential. And we have been paying on those. We have extended the initial 2-year lease, and we see the need to keep those units an additional 5 years, even if they don't stay at Cane Bay Elementary Middle. We can relocate them throughout the district as we prepare and hopefully build more schools in the very near future to alleviate growth. So you were provided a financial comparison, and basically we will lease to purchase these units over the next 5 years, and at the end of that 5-year term, we'll actually own those.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
So we're going to purchase these trailers?
Yes, sir. At the end of this 5-year term, we will own these buildings. And this will start and then with the next payment in November.
What's
so the money that
life of a learning cottage? 15, 20 years?
I will tell you, we just destroyed some that we had back in the 1970s.
I was saying 20 years probably.
Yeah, exactly.
So I could tell you from driving my students, my children through the Cane Bay schools, on the bottom of them, they look kind of rough. So people are going to be like, why are we buying these, right? So the insides of them are very nice and all of that. So when we do purchase them, obviously it's like anything else that you lease and then you buy. We're responsible for all the repairs and everything like that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So do you foresee that going to be a huge impact to us?
Are you talking about the underskirting?
Yes, ma'am.
That should be able to be fixed for a nominal cost. It's like the lattice or whatever that goes around the underskirting.
Okay.
And that would be included in the school's regular 110 account for this maintenance and repair.
Right, because perception's reality, so those underskirtings can look like that they're not, in the best condition ever, but it's just the,
I think with all the
outside.
construction out there,
Yes.
maybe just a good pressure washing might.
And a little nails and glue or something to keep them up, yes.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it by a vote of 2-0. The fourth and final agenda item is the first quarter 2022-2023 financial update. Ms. Smith, you are recognized.
Tonight's financial update is through the first quarter of the 2022-2023 school year. Of the $369 million budgeted revenue in the general fund, we have received $28 million for the first quarter. Looking at expenditures, we spent $57.7 million of the budgeted $374.5 million, with 76% of that in salaries and benefits. The $10 million in purchase services includes third-party employment services, district utilities, software licenses, insurance, and leases for copiers and modular units. The chart here shows a comparison of the general fund's revenue and expenditures for the first quarter of 2022-2023 as compared to 21-22. We're not showing much revenue in the first quarter of 2022. However, September state revenue was not entered at the time this information was pulled. We are higher in salaries and benefits, which is expected due to the 4% increase as well as the increase to retirement and health insurance. Purchase services are tracking about the same, and we have expended more in supplies and materials in the first quarter of 2022-2023 than the same time last year. Special revenue budget is listed here. We have not received all special revenue allocations at this time, and we will update this budget as we receive the allocations. The special revenue funds include all of the title funds, IDEA, McKinney-Vento, Adult Ed, CARES, ESSER 2, and ESSER 3. The ESSER 2 and 3 and CARES will be in more detail on the next slide. We have received $1.8 million in revenue. Revenues received after claims are processed, and we will always show a higher expense than revenue in these funds until year end. Expenditures for special revenue funds are $14.3 million year to date. For the CARES and ESSER fund breakdown, the CARES funds expired as of 9/30/2022, and we have expended all of these funds. The original budget was $6.8 million. For ESSER 2, we spent $7 million of the $20.8 million carryover, and with encumbrances, we have $13.6 million left for that budget. This grant expires on September the 30th, 2023. In ESSER 3, we have $64.4 in carryover budget, and we've spent $1.4 million in the first quarter, and we have $15 million encumbered, leaving a balance of $47.6, and this grant expires September 30th, 2024. The EIA budget is all state-funded grants. We have received $9.8 million to date and have expended $2.1 million. The capital projects budget is now split between two funds. The original 500 fund has a carryover balance of $35 million, and we've spent $6.3 million in the first quarter. The remaining funds are mostly for completing the Carnes K-8 project, including FF&E and technology, and other maintenance and repair projects throughout the district. The new 550 fund includes the proceeds from the bond issuance this past September, and the expenditures consist of the capital budget approved in August. Expenditures through 9/30 are $675,000. This is our third year for collecting our improvement fees for the Carnes Crossroads area. In year one, we collected $22,200. Year two, it was $150,000, and this year for the first quarter, we have collected $9,320, and we have no expenditures on any of these funds this far.
Let me ask a question about the impact fees. That's something we've been working with developers to try to get some funding for new housing. Is that where this is coming from? And I think it was about $1,850.
It's $1,850, and this is just in the Carnes Crossroad area currently, and we work with the developers.
Just one developer there?
Yes.
And I'm sure we're working with other developers as we move along to try to do the same thing.
We have not nailed anything
Mr. Jackson,
down at
would you
this
like
time. Go ahead.
No, just to reiterate, yes, we are working with additional developers to try to implement the same sort of structure, same deal. It's in hindsight, and so it's voluntary. And so hopefully we'll have something to announce pretty soon.
So it's not something the school district can mandate. That's something that the developers and the...
There is a statutory, this is not a statutory impact fee, this is a voluntary, and so it relies on the relationships and cooperation and collaboration with the developers. We're also getting a lot of assistance from our local municipalities as well. They're trying to assist us, as well as the county government. And so we currently have a seat at the table, as I like to say now, with respect to especially any new development that's coming in to the area.
Because even we use leverage in some cases as well. So we do have some leverage where we can force developers to want to negotiate. Of course, we always want to use the carrot when we can, but just as you were saying, Mr. Jackson, one thing, the county developers will come up to the planning and zoning department, and we have such a good relationship with Berkeley County government that the planning and zone will say, well, what about a school? And there have been developments where developers now, through the county's relationship, is looking to work with us. And so the school district now has a seat at the table with a lot of the things that go on with the growth and development. This is something that we did not have previously, and I will commend Mr. Jackson as far as his good relationship with the county. So Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, the child nutrition budget is at $17.4 million. We have $3.2 million in expenditures, mostly for our food costs for our cafeterias. Due to the timing of the claims, we're only showing $126,000 in revenue at this time, but actual claims are around $2.6 million. Are there any questions?
Ms. Smith, has there been any change in the fund balance since you gave the last presentation?
So-
Was it a little over 100 million?
Fund balance as of June 30th, 2021 is $104 million. We are still closing out. We're working with our auditors now. Our audit is due on December the 1st, so we're still working on closing out the 2022 school year. We do anticipate adding to fund balance again this year due to the conservative budget practices of the board and administration. We also had several vacancies this year, and we do budget for all vacancies and all positions, and we did have quite a bit of vacancies this year, and we also had some contracted services as well that we were unable to fill those positions for those third party, so that is going to give us a little bit of funding back. We also had some supplies and some other purchase services funds that were not utilized last year. And we had a very large savings on our workers' comp, which is kudos to our workers' comp team. So that is about $1.5 million in savings there. And we did adjust that going into this year, and we reduced that budget down to $500,000 this year. It was $2 million last year, but because we were new in the process of the workers' compensation being self-insured, we wanted to make sure we had enough to cover it. This year, we're going in at $500,000, so we did compensate for the change.
Okay, so is there an estimated, you say that you think there's going to be an increase in the fund balance?
I do. This is very preliminary. Like I said, we're still closing out numbers, but I would say it would be in excess of probably about $15 million.
Because one thing I would think our industries and our
15 million
properties were, we were conservative with our estimate also, and even with the growth that continues to come in Berkeley County, I think from last year and looking forward to this year, we will get additional revenues that maybe that we aren't accounting for just because the growth
And
is so
Mr. Ramsey,
strong.
I'm glad you said that, because that was one of the things also is in July, we received about $7 million in additional local tax revenue. And so because it was in July, we didn't have time to amend the budget. So that is also helping to add to fund balance as well, because that was an unplanned revenue. So we were tracking on point all the way through the year. And then when we received the funds in July, it was a little late to do the budget amendment. So you're right on point.
And I'm thinking if we're knock on wood, we should have a similar scenario this year as well.
Yes, sir.
That seems to be a similar pattern. It seems to me that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall in the last 5 or 6 years, I think we've added to the fund balance every year. Is that accurate?
We have added to fund balance. We had one year where it decreased $13.8 million due to historical reasons, but it ended up going back into fund balance 2 years later. So in essence, it has increased each year for the past at least 5 years. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome.
I think that that's a relief since we just had a storm that we didn't have a lot of damage, but it's nice to have some money. If that were to have hit us like it did Florida,
Yes.
we would need every penny of what we have in the fund.
Yes, ma'am. And one other thing that we can think about is when we do our next workshop or before then, we can always designate some of the fund balance to any capital project needs that we have in the district.
And for a historical record, I think when Mr. Bear and myself and a few of us others, when we came on this board, the fund balance ended up being around 30 million was where it's at. So in 6 years, we've grown it from 30 million to looking at 115 million. So obviously, there's going to be discussions, I would hope, down the road, what do we do with this money?
That's right.
But right now,
Absolutely.
the great news is because we've made some good decisions, we have this money.
Well said, Mr. Ramsey. I agree with that.
Any further discussion? This is an information-only item. Hearing none, I make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Good evening. I'm calling the Committee on Human Resources to order. I declare there is a quorum of committee members present and note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor? Please say aye. Aye. The ayes have it unanimously. The only item on the agenda this evening is for information only, and it is the Carolina CAP teachers and administrators. Dr. Sturkey, you are recognized this evening.
Good evening, Chairman Barrow, board members, and Superintendent Jackson. I am so pleased this evening to bring before you Dr. Natasha Wright, who is our Director of Human Resources, and she supervises the Carolina CAP program, and she has some wonderful updates for you this evening. Dr. Wright.
Dr. Sturkey. Good evening, Madam Chair, Chair Barrow, Superintendent Jackson, and board members. It's so great to see you.
Good evening.
Likewise.
So good. And so I received a quote from a principal today, and I handwrote it onto my notes. In the words of one of our principals, Katie Ty, and when reflecting on her experience with her Carolina CAP teacher, she stated, "I can teach instruction and strategy, but I cannot teach passion." And so today I will share with you one of the many programs in our district where teachers demonstrate passion, our Carolina CAP teachers. And it is a Grow Your Own initiative here in Berkeley County School District, one that we hope to expand and we hope to add others. So with that, I will pull up my little presentation here. All right. So the Carolina CAP program is a non-degree alternative certification program, at least a full teacher licensure in 3 years. Each eligible candidate must have a bachelor's degree to be considered for this program. The Carolina CAP program collaborates with school districts, the University of South Carolina, and the Center for Teaching Quality. The overarching goal is to create a high-quality pathway to teaching. So if many of you are like me, I'm a visual learner. And so I would rather show you rather than tell you about the amazing teaching that happens from our Carolina CAP teachers. I have a short video I would like to share with you. It features Amaya Oliver, who is here tonight. She's a kindergarten teacher at Bowens Corner Elementary School. And prior to CAP, she was an instructional assistant in our district. And I would like to give a special thank you to our communications department for putting this video together.
What color is it? Red. Red, so we'll go over here with red. The kids are really, really sweet. They definitely keep me on my toes. Circle, green circle. This is the foundation for their education and ultimately for life as well. 3 sides. 3 sides, good.
Teaching is the best profession ever. That's my belief. It takes a lot of heart and art to do. And so when I see people who probably did not go to college for education but still want to pursue it, that just brings me a lot of joy.
I started out as a TA in one of the other teachers' rooms. I got a message actually through my email about the Carolina CAP program. And I was like, I wonder what this is.
Carolina CAP is the alternative program where candidates are provided like extra layers of support before becoming professionally certified.
I feel like the program is very supportive, not only from Ms. Hughes and the other administration, but also just from my other fellow Carolina CAP people.
The support that I actually give each candidate, co-planning,
co-teaching. Everything about Carolina CAP is, okay, here's what you're going to do. How can I help you do it?
So I serve basically as like an instructional coach. It just doesn't put them on the field without any support. They have support, i.e. their coach. It benefits the students, which is what the whole purpose. It's not about me or even the teacher, the candidate. It's about, well, how are we doing what's best for our students?
It's setting them up for the future. Especially here in kindergarten, I feel like whatever they get to know now, they're going to take with them throughout their whole education career. If you join Carolina CAP, just know that there is a whole team of people there to support you. You will not be doing it by yourself. You will have that support from everyone, from people in the district office to the people in the school building and to your team members on your grade level.
When she's up there teaching, it's just like natural. It's a natural. So she definitely has the heart and the art.
See who I can see. Mason!
As you can see, there's heart, art, and passion with all of our teachers. And so now I would like to share how we support teachers like Amaya. So in addition to the district level resources and support that's available through the school district, each candidate gets a coach. And so the coaches are introduced to their candidates, they spend time with their candidates, they figure out their needs, and they work from there to make sure that they have the support that they need. In addition, we are working towards success. Coming together is a beginning, staying together is progress, and working together is success. And so we have had some successes that I would like to share tonight as well. Obviously, this is an update. So in October of 2021, we partnered with the CAP program, and principals recommended instructional assistants that were currently in our district. And so those candidates, if they signed up for our program, the district covers the cost of the program. In exchange, the teacher gives back 3 years of service to Berkeley County School District. If it were not for the support of our superintendent and our school board, alternative certification, this route may not even be an option for some of our teachers because funding is often a barrier. And so it may be not an option or maybe even delayed. So I've worked very closely with the alternative certified teachers, and I've been in their classrooms and they are doing beautiful work. And so this program is funded through ESSER 3, which Ms. Smith recently shared. And the goal of the program seeks to ensure quality instruction is occurring in a classroom. And so research shows that the greatest indicator of improved academic performance for a student is a quality teacher. And so this program seeks to build quality teachers. So in January of 2022, we placed 6 instructional assistants in the classroom, and we're happy to say we retained all 6 of them. So very excited that they came back for more. And so I'm going to skip through these. These faces will look familiar because we brought them before the board previously. Cane Bay Middle School received Ms. Caitlin Wood, 5th grade. Ms. Cheryl Sinclair was at St. Stephen Elementary, 5th grade. Stephanie Moore, special education teacher, Bowens Corner. Ms. Amaya Oliver, who was featured in the video, taught kindergarten, is still there at Bowens Corner. Ms. Cheryl Rivers, Goose Creek 5th grade, and Ms. Takia Williams 5th grade at Philip Simmons Middle. And so we obviously got really good feedback from our principals. We could not share them all, but we did pick 2. Dr. Murray from Bowens Corner, Ms. Oliver was the addition that we needed. The formation of her class helped to alleviate large numbers in the kindergarten classes. She has an unaltered outlook on the field of education and brings excitement and passion. She is like a sponge and is coachable. She is dependable and consistent. From Dr. Bartlett at Cane Bay Middle, Ms. Wood stepped in and filled a long-standing math vacancy for us last year as a CAP teacher and has continued to be a great addition to our staff of COBRA teachers. Grateful for this avenue. And Ms. Wood actually just had a baby, so we had another addition in the CAP family as well. So congratulations to her. So obviously, our principals have good things to say, and we're very excited about that. But we want to know if students were growing. So we pulled some student data because we wanted to make sure that kids are the focus and that they are learning. So with that, 9 out of 16 students increased their Fontes and Purnell reading level, one level. 3 of 9 students increased by 2 levels. 8 of 16 students started the year at the pre-A reading level. 6 out of 16 ended the year at pre-A reading level, and 3 of those students being ELL students, so that we take that growth and we celebrate that growth. In addition, students receiving special education services increased their math and reading proficiency quantile performance ranging from 30 to 100 points. Again, we celebrate all successes and academic growth of our students. And for our math interventionists, saw an increase of 1 year's growth to 1.5 years growth in those classes. And again, these teachers started mid-year. They started in January, and they were able to still help students grow. And so mid-year hires have a unique set of challenges, and so we applaud them for stepping in and taking over and helping students grow academically. So why am I up here today again? I am up here because I want you to know that the program has grown since the last time you saw me. Since the 21-22 school year, we have grown from 6 to 14 candidates, and we've gained 3 Carolina CAP school-based coaches. So we're very proud that we've been able to add to them, and some of them are here tonight, and I would like to recognize them. I am going to have you all stand at the end. I have April Ard. She is at Bonner Elementary School teaching kindergarten. Miss Ashton Bond, Sangaree Elementary, teaching 1st grade. Jordan, yeah, you can clap. Yes. Jordan Barkis is at College Park Elementary School teaching special education. Miss Sedaria Carter is at H.E. Bonner teaching kindergarten. Brett Deneau was trying to get here tonight. He had some car trouble. He's so sorry he couldn't be here, but he's teaching 7th grade science at College Park Middle School. And Miss Keisha Kelly is here tonight from Whitesville Elementary School teaching 2nd grade. And Tina Ramos McBride is at Sangaree Elementary School teaching special education. And last but certainly not least, we have Miss Shannon Witten at St. Stephen Elementary School teaching 1st grade. Will all my Carolina CAP teachers please stand to be recognized? Thank you. Of course, we have to have support for them. So we have Miss Benita Hughes, who's our district level Carolina CAP coach. She jumped into this with me and has stuck right by my side. So thank you, Miss Hughes. Miss Kaylee Beckwith is a school-based coach. She is here tonight. If you two would go ahead and stand. Yes, give a hand. They're in the classrooms every day. Stephen Baird, school-based coach at Sangaree Elementary School. And Ms. Horace Van could not be here with us tonight, but she's a coach at St. Stephen Elementary School. So thank you for all of your hard work. So last point I would like to make, according to the 2021 Sarah Teacher Supply and Demand Report, approximately 1,060 teaching service positions was still vacant between September and October of 2021. This is an increase of more than 50% compared to the year before, and the largest number of vacancies reported by districts since the Teacher and Supply Demand Report was first administered in 2001. Recruitment strategies must continue to evolve to meet today's staffing challenges. The Division of Human Resources asks for your continued support of the Carolina CAP program and other programs like it. We would like to expand Grow Your Own initiatives within the district to ensure that prospective teachers, like our Carolina CAP teachers here today, have an alternative route to the teaching profession. And by the way, I have to tell you, I am a recruiter at the end of the day. If you know anyone that is interested in learning more about the Carolina CAP program, please encourage them to attend our information session, which will be held right here on Thursday night, October 13th from 4:30 to 5:15. Thank you so much for your attention. This concludes my presentation. Do you have any questions?
It was fantastic. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
I think the computer said they're tired, so no worries.
Just on time.
Yeah,
Thank
just
you.
on time, but it was fantastic. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yes, fantastic program. Well done.
That presentation was for information only, and at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. The ayes have it unanimously. We are adjourned. Have a good evening.